Central Florida homeowners join state's rising trend, opting out of property insurance. You're listening to The Wrap from Central Florida Public Media. I'm Brendan Byrne. Property insurance market experts say Florida is the center of a rising trend, with data showing that 1 out of 5 Florida homeowners are foregoing insurance. That means about 20% of these homes are uninsured, according to data from LendingTree's Value Penguin. The trend, experts say, is at an all-time high, and a result of the state's property insurance crisis.
A huge part of this is in response to their very limited and very expensive options. So when you take all of this in context, you're going to end up with a lot of homeowners thinking, I'm not paying for home insurance. Nothing has ever happened to my house. I'm just going to take the risk until they fix the insurance problem in the state.
A look at why homeowners are dropping insurance. That's ahead on The Wrap, the big stories this week from Central Florida Public Media. But first, these news headlines. Orange County commissioners voted 4-2 to comply with a new state statute by outlawing camping overnight on county land. As Central Florida Public Media's Joe Burns reports, the new ordinance empowers law enforcement to make an arrest, but officials insisted Tuesday that their priority is providing services instead.
Staff expect to receive complaints about unhoused people sleeping on county property through calls to 311 and a form on the county website. They hope to connect those sleeping outdoors with emergency housing, mental health treatment, and other services. But if they fail to leave the property, local police or deputies can arrest them under the ordinance. The penalty? A fine of up to $500 and up to 60 days in jail. Commissioner Kelly Martinez-Semerat said she wouldn't vote to comply with a state law that amounts to cruel and unusual punishment.
The way that I look at this state law is that it does criminalize homelessness, and that by presenting a resolution like this, we're complying with criminalizing homelessness.
The law authorizes lawsuits if the county doesn't make the outdoor sleepers move on. Joe Burns, Central Florida Public Media.
Statewide, 565 manatees died last year, making it what experts say is a pretty average year nowadays. But as Central Florida Public Media's environment reporter Molly Durg explains, floodgates cause more manatee deaths than usual.
17 manatees died from floodgates or navigational locks in Florida last year, including 5 in Brevard, more than any other county. All 5 were adult manatees in Port Canaveral, where no other manatee deaths were recorded. Martina DeVitt, a veterinarian with the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, says sometimes manatees will get stuck in floodgate doors before they close, or sucked into turbulent water where they drown.
There can be certain dangerous conditions around those structures for a manatee to get a safe passage. But, it's something that can be mitigated.
DeVitt says as a human-driven cause of manatee fatalities, issues with floodgates and dams can be studied and prevented. That's why she says staff with FWC and partner agencies work together to investigate these cases and possible solutions. Molly Durg, Central Florida Public Media.
Brazilian soccer star Marta will remain with the Orlando Pride for yet another season. Her contract with the club expired after the Pride's historic 2024 championship season, but without an immediate announcement of a renewal, some fans anticipated her retirement. Instead, the 38-year-old has re-upped with the squad for 2 more seasons. She's widely considered the greatest women's soccer star of all time and has been with the Pride since 2017. Marta says she considers Orlando home.
From the moment I stepped my foot into the airport 8 years ago, you made this club and this seat my home. Week in and week out, home and away, you have shown up and have made this the best club to play for.
Marta scored 11 goals across all competitions in the Pride's championship season and is the team's all-time leading assist leader. More local news stories on our website. Visit cfpublic.org. Downtown Orlando's Fringe Art Space is closing. For Fringe's leaders, that means more resources to bring the theater organization back to its roots.
We started as this festival. We need to really lean into that festival. It does such a service for our community. We can't juggle all of these things and be good at all of these things.
What's ahead for Fringe? Listen to that conversation on Spotlight. Get it wherever you get this podcast or on our website, cfpublic.org. The number of Florida homeowners foregoing property insurance coverage is at an all-time high. 1 in 5 homeowners are not insured at all. Central Florida Public Media's Lillian Hernandez-Carballo reports it comes at a risk, but with the most expensive premiums in the country, some Florida homeowners are opting out.
Last year's hurricane season is behind us. But as we know, Floridians are never quite in the clear. Rain pours and thunderclaps on this December afternoon in Brevard County. But longtime Malvern resident David Schroeder Sr. isn't concerned, even though his house is uninsured.
There's never been any damage done to it.
Schroeder's home was built in the 50s and sits just off U.S. Highway 1, about a quarter-mile west of the Indian River. He inherited the house after his mother died about 40 years ago and has owned it outright ever since. Without a mortgage lender to require insurance on the property, it's entirely up to Schroeder whether he wants coverage or not. The 74-year-old says ever-growing premiums drained his budget for years before he opted out.
Went from $200 to $300, then to $600, then to $800 a year, and it kept going up.
Schroeder says companies kept raising prices and doing less. The whole ordeal was frustrating him.
And I said, since the house has been built, there's never been a claim. And think of all that money that has been wasted. Insurance is nothing but a game. So I just said, fine, I'm not going to have insurance.
Schroeder canceled his last insurance policy back in 2010 and says he's never looked back. He's not alone.
Right now, 20% of homeowners in Florida have opted to self-insure and remain uninsured.
Divya Sangam is an insurance expert with Value Penguin, a research site that analyzed Florida's insurance crisis.
This is extremely risky, but a huge part of this is in response to their very limited and very expensive options for homeowners insurance.
As extreme weather events drive up insurance claims and payouts, private insurers have gone out of business. After Hurricane Ian in 2022, Florida lost more than 30 insurance companies. The ones that remained hiked up premiums and minimized risks, closing nearly a third of Ian's claims without payment and dropping millions of policies in the process. Filling in the gap is state-run Citizens Property Insurance Corporation, which peaked at 1.4 million policies in 2023 and also hiked up prices and denied more than half its claims that year.
So when you take all of this in context, you're going to end up with a lot of homeowners thinking, I'm not paying for home insurance. Nothing has ever happened to my house. I'm just going to take the risk until they fix the insurance problem in the state.
Mark Friedlander is with the Industry Association Insurance Information Institute and says Florida lawmakers have passed major insurance reforms in the last 2 years to help fix the market. He says it's working.
The industry is in a very strong financial position, the best in more than a decade. We expect stability to continue in 2025.
Florida welcomed at least 8 new private insurers last year. Friedlander says this gives homeowners more options and hopefully keeps them from joining the self-insuring trend.
We have seen so many homeowners in the past few years, they decided to self-insure, to save, and to the point where they cannot rebuild their homes and they have to move. It's a bad road to go down. In most cases, if you make that decision, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life.
Back in Melbourne, Schroeder says it's an easy decision, but he's aware of the risk.
Well, it's a chance, like I said, and I'm gambling, but life is a chance anyway. I could walk out this door and get hit by a car right in the middle of the street. Lightning could hit my house any minute, but you have to have faith and trust, and I know that I am blessed.
Lillian Hernandez-Carballo, Central Florida Public Media.
Lillian Hernandez-Carballo is a Report for America core member. That's it for The Wrap. This podcast is produced by Central Florida Public Media with assistance from News Director Latoya Dennis and Digital Director Ryan Ellison. I'm Brendan Byrne. This is The Wrap.